speaking of updates and keeping you informed, we're going to kind of have like a rapid fire what's happening in your backyard. So we want to give you guys updates on a handful of different projects that are going on that the district is working on for you and with you. And Corina is hiding somewhere. So we're going to start with a couple projects that were actually funded by the Department of Ag's penalty grants. So if for some reason you had a manure discharge spill or otherwise and you were penalized, all of that money goes into a fund at Department of Ag that goes back out in a grant process to bring back to you. So even though something bad happened, there's a lot of good that comes from the funds from those penalties. And so we're really grateful we're able to apply for those funds and bring you back a couple of really cool projects. And Corina is going to start us off. With an update on one of our projects.
So this fall I've been contacting, I think there's 8 signs out in the field this year, and last year we had 10 or more out. It's probably the 3rd or 4th year we've been doing this now. And so we just want to recognize all the farmers that are putting these conservation covers out. So conservation covers are the relay crops, the cover crops, in-row covers, and like berry fields. And so you can see these all around the county, and we still have a couple more in the office that we'd like to put out. So if you have a crop field that you'd like us to highlight, please get in touch with me. And again, conservation covers are so important because they help keep those nutrients that are in your field that you didn't use up in nitrogen, and also that sediment runoff, preventing it. So it's a great practice, and we're happy to be able to promote the fields that have great cover crops in them. Yeah, so hopefully you see these around, and if you see one falling over, I'm gonna fix it if you contact me. So, yeah, and the next one, Aneka's got this event. You saw these on the door when you came in, hopefully.
Manure Matters. This, we are launching today. This public education campaign, Whatcom Conservation District, in partnership with WSDA, to generate understanding of how and why farmers recycle manure as an organic crop fertilizer and soil amendment. So this is just an example of we're going to potentially do 5 different public education campaigns. This is a poster that they were on the doors as you came in, and really the goal is that it will have information on the bottom that directs people, first of all, to our web page, and in addition to providing the community information on how farmers recycle manure, the page also provides links on additional resources for farmers, including grants, technical assistance, research, and the benefits of manure, obviously. But really the focus is that there are kind of 2 parts to the text that's included in here, which I know you can't read, you shouldn't be able to read it. And so the first part is really the public. Why do farmers use manure? Haha, what a great piece of information for people. And then the second is really information for farmers themselves on how they can best use it. This is another example. Follow me, I'm a leader in conservation. This photo is taken by local dairy woman, Erica DeWard. I think some of you might know her. She raises calves. And so this campaign will include a series of ads with different themes representing all types of manure producers and users in Whatcom County. So we'll be talking about a variety of different subject matters: how manure moves through the environment, manure spreading dates and setbacks, the science and odor issues, fences and buffers, winter manure handling, etc. So where will you see this? We're going to have it on social media. It'll be on Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor. There'll be newspaper ads, posters, road signs, and then there'll be some radio ads and interviews as well. So this is just something to look out for. If you would like some of these posters to be in your office, or if you have a public face to your dairy or your cheese shop perhaps, and you'd like some of these posters, get a hold of us. We'll print them out. They're all going to be very cute and funny with great photos. We think that they're pretty funny, the rest of them, so they might not be to you. So yeah, I'm glad to launch this today and look forward to seeing more of it. So now I'm going to pass it off back over to Nichole.
I will also say we had an entire hour-long meeting on how to come up with puns about poop. It was awesome, by the way. So when you do see these come out, they're pretty funny. Like, don't poo-poo manure. It's a great product, right? So anyway, you're going to see some really fun things. This campaign has been a lot of fun to put together. And we're really hopeful it reduces the stigma around manure, not only for the public, but maybe even for farmers, that you guys can find, instead of thinking of your product as like, oh, this headache, I have to deal with it. Maybe you're kind of going to get a better rap for it. Like, hey, it's this wonderful amendment for the soil, and it's a great thing I'm doing for the environment by putting out manure versus chemical fertilizers or something else. So it's all in how you use it and what tools that you use in order to improve it. So polling, get your phones out again. And you can respond to more than one. How many of these manure nutrient management tools and which ones have you used in the last year? So have you used the manure spreading advisory, the manure text alert system, the application risk management worksheet, that's that field assessment sheet, the seasonal manure application setback distances, your nutrient management plan? So if there's some of these you've never heard of, that's great too. That's okay, I'm going to go over them. But are there, which one or how many of these? So you can answer, you can text more than once if you've used more than one of these tools. And this is just out of curiosity. I should also say, by the way, in this text polling, your number is not recorded. You're not linked to anything else. But so don't worry if you're like, oh, I don't want to respond, I don't want to play because they're going to capture my number. It doesn't happen. So we've got it set that there's no capturing of numbers on here. So that's great. It's great for me to see that you guys at least know where the manure spreading advisory is. That if I was going to have more responses to any one of these things, that would be the one. And that's the best start of where to find some of these resources. So I'm going to kind of move along to the next slide here. So on your table, there's this kind of, it looks like a little menu. And sure, think of that. This is your nutrient management tool menu. And maybe you can put this up somewhere to remember. So all those things that were just on that previous slide are on here in one way or another with how to find them. So the most important tools, and two-thirds or three-quarters of you, since you've been to these events before, have heard me talk about many of these tools. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them today, except to say, here's where to find them. So the first side of this, you've got like 4 different numbers. This is just a great thought process to go through before you put manure out. Do you need it right now? I'm going to actually have a great talk today on thinking and calculating agronomic rate. The rest, is it safe to apply manure? That's what that manure spreading advisory is for. Is my field in good condition to apply to? In the manure spreading advisory, there's a link to do a field assessment worksheet. So you can know for your individual field, is it a high or low risk based on its current condition? So things like a high soil moisture is a high risk because that means that your soil's saturated. No more water can go in. If your water table is up or it's already full of water, anything you put on top is going to run off, right? So that worksheet is really helping you identify and learn how to manage those types of factors. And then what things can you do to minimize risk? Application setback distances. So those are our seasonal setbacks. In the summer, it's 10 feet when we're nice and dry. And the reason is, if you play the game, it's pretty easy to get the beanbag into the hole, hence the manure into the water. It's pretty hard when it's 40 feet, or right now, this time of year, we're looking at 80 feet. And that's because our field, if we get a little bit of rain, it runs off much easier this time of year because our fields are so wet, versus in the summer, it's going to infiltrate right in and that soil is going to take it up. So those are all the tools. And then on the back side of this is a description of each one of those tools. Kind of a brief on what it is, how it works, and then where to find a link to it. Worst case scenario, the Whatcom Conservation District website has all these things in one way or another linked on there for you. So if you only can remember one place to go to try to find things, that's it. The second place to go is you can always call me. So my number, for better or for worse, is the one on this flyer as my email. So please, anytime, give me a buzz. if you just didn't understand one of those things, you want a little help going through it, it's your first time through one of those tools, I love going through that with farmers on the phone. It's pretty easy. I'm always happy to answer questions. And some people say, you know, there's no stupid questions. Well, it's actually, that's not it. It's just, there's stupid people who don't answer questions. In other words, if I get a question, it doesn't matter what caliber it is, I will always take the time to talk you through it and answer it. So I love getting questions and calls from folks. And speaking of that, our manure text alert, just hands-wise, how many people utilize our manure text alert who have gotten those texts? Well, that's great. I'd like to see more of you. So what this is, and you can do this in addition to having the polls. If you want to be signed up for this, all you do is kind of similar to the other one, is that you're texting 797979 is the number, and you're texting Easy Manure to that. And then you're already enrolled in, I will send out occasional, when it's important, texts about manure spreading or big rain events coming. The goal of this is that nobody else, I'm the one sending you a message that says, big period of sunny weather, get your application ready, it's coming up, it's a great time to apply. Or what you'll get is like, big rain coming in a day or 2 days, stop manure application, it's a very high risk time. So this is, you, I assume, should be looking at the forecast every day or the manure spreading advisory, but some days you're just a little busy and maybe you didn't check it that morning, or it's sunny outside and so you're like, God, it's gorgeous, there's no way we could get an inch of rain tomorrow. This text alert system, you only get a couple a month. Usually in the summer, you're not getting much at all. It's these shoulder times right about now, and then in the fall, that it's just a helpful thing that in your pocket, you get a text and you go, oh dear, okay, good to know. There's something big coming. Maybe I'll adjust my activity today, or I'll bump things up, or vice versa. Like, oh great, I just got a text. There's a big weather window coming. Even though it looks, like it's raining, I'll get my stuff going, I'll get things going. So hopefully this is a service for you that's helpful. If it's not, you just text stop at any time and you're popped back out of it. So you can sign up this way. There's also a little card on many of the tables that has the same instructions, or you can sign up. We've got a sign-in sheet that you can put your number on it and we'll put you in the system for you. So many ways for you to get on this. And again, if you start testing it out, or you enroll and you don't like it, you can pop out. Or even better, tell me what kind of text do you guys like to get? Which ones are helpful, which ones are not? Do you want more of something than the other? Flood events is actually one I'm going to add to it. I had someone request that too, because those will sneak up on us. And so giving a little bit of headway for potential for high flooding. Sure, that might be the Nooksack, but if you have any tribs or ditches on your property, that might also, you can get some back flooding. So it's a great time just to paying attention, and maybe it gets you that you're like, oh, and I know it's a flooding event, I'm supposed to do X, Y, or Z on my farm. So hopefully all those things are beneficial. So find me at any time today if you want to give me some feedback on what you do or don't like about this system so far, or what we can do to improve it, or sign up and then give me a call or let me know at any time what you do or don't like about it. The next one, this isn't, oh, there it goes. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris now, who's going to give some updates on some of the manure technology projects and activities that a lot of you have probably heard a little buzz about. So Chris is just going to give you a snapshot on a lot, and I know that you can talk to him individually about it afterwards, or the company's doing it, or any of that at some point. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. A couple of years ago, I received a grant to fund manure treatment technologies to the tune of $2 million. We have until 2020 to contract that. Before NRCS would fund those exact projects, they wanted to see some of them on the ground to get proof of concept. There was a local company, DairyTex, worked with some of the different processes, and they've added centrifuge on one farm here in the county. The centrifugist goes to a higher degree of separation. They've also put together a waste treatment evaporation system to take that manure and put to provide a kill on the bacteria, but also to separate the nutrients for potential fertilizer cells. The other one is a DAF type unit where they add polymers and they separate that extra percentage of solids. Within the Washington State Conservation Commission, they provided a grant that went out to 5 different technologies that funded some manure treatment technologies. One of them was a struvite process that had been around for quite some time with WSU and Dairy Tech. A number of you guys went through that process or provided a little bit of manure to them. They did treat that, and then they've taken their struvite, their crystallized phosphorus, and applied it to alfalfa fields in eastern Washington. So there's some information out there through WSU and Joe Harrison if you're looking for more information on that. Again, that process has been around for a while, but they put together a mobile unit and they ran it around. The Janicki processor that was known as Janicki Industries or Janicki Bioenergy in Cedar Woolley, they have switched their name to Cedron. They're from Cedar Woolley, and there's a new name for that. They also, instead of Omni processor was what everyone thought of it. That's what Bill Gates drank the water out of sewer treatment water. That is actually a dairy distillation unit or vapor recompression unit. They had changed that name to VARCOR is the name of the technology. That actual processor there, they're building in the old Skagit logging or Skagit steel where they built log yarders when I was growing up in Cedar Woolley. They've put together a unit that they've shipped to Texas, and they're putting that processor together. The second processor is going in at Jeremy Visser's at Savannah as part of the Washington State Conservation Commission grant to proof that up. The processor itself, they're distilling the manure and getting out both clean water and fertilizer, liquid nitrogen, and then a dry product as a solid. Regenus Coldstream, they're putting a DAF unit on Coldstream Farm with reverse osmosis afterward to get it to clean water, to take that water and put it into back into the river. But that process takes it through an extra step of separation, and then they run it through a filter system within the reverse osmosis process, which is inside of this container. So it's a relatively small unit that processes the manure after separation. We've worked closely with Galen Smith and Coldstream Farms over the years with a number of different cost share projects. The Aneka is going to announce.
So throughout the day, we decided to really highlight some of the local energy and effort that some local dairies have been putting in and the awards that they have been receiving just in the last year. And when Chris said he was going to be introducing this new technology, I thought it would be great to bring up an award that was awarded this year to Coldstream Farms from the Whatcom Land Trust. It was the 2018 Bob Keller Memorial Business Conservation Leadership Award, quite a handful or mouthful. And it was presented at the Business Conservation Leadership Breakfast on October 10th of 2018. Coldstream Farms has led the charge in Whatcom County for sustainable dairy farming for the past 40 years, since Jeff Rainey bought the piece of property in the South Fork of the Nooksack in about 1978. And this award, that's what the sort of plaque looked like. And Coldstream Farms shows us all that the traditions and values of Whatcom dairy farmers are evolving, especially with these amazing new technologies, and that the conservation goals can combine to shape a better future for Washington communities. So I think Galen's here, and I've got a t-shirt that I want to give you. So come on up, and a big thank you and round of applause for Coldstream Farms. It's a large, and these are, so each of these award winners also gets from us a Farmers for Clean Water t-shirt, and I can get you a different size. And you also get to pull the first door
Nice.
prize. Okay,
I'll wear the
bring up
shirt
the
proudly.
bucket. Here you go. I don't know if
Thank
you
you.
want to sing about the award, but.
Yeah, I can, maybe just a quick update on our project. So partnered with Regenis and Public Utility District Number 1. There has been some challenges as we've got going. To be honest, we thought the reverse osmosis and nanofiltration, which is really just filtering, would be the hard part, and it actually is quite simple. So the tough part of the project is removing the fine solids from the manure itself. So ahead of our fine separation, we have a Dairy Tech screw press that we use for bedding. The technologies and the polymer that we've been using have not been able to pull out enough fine solids to process the amount of gallons that we want. So we had a slope screen in front of a dewatering unit, and the slope screen is gone, and the dewatering screw press is actually doing a great job filtering the fine solids out. So the downside is right now we're only able to process around 10 to 15,000 gallons of water a day, or I should say tea water, that we send to the reverse osmosis system. So out of that 10 to 15,000 gallons, we're getting right now approximately maybe 3,000 to 4,000 gallons of a concentrate, and somewhere in that 8,000 to 10,000 gallons of clean water. So as we've proven this all out, the next step is to invest in another piece of equipment that will give us more gallons per minute. So the reverse osmosis unit will process around 25,000 gallons a day. So as we kind of venture through this, I would say we're in the optimization and discovery phase a little bit, but we're getting the expected results. Now we just need to upscale it to what our expectations were, and try to work on driving the cost out of the process. So it's been a really good project. We're pretty excited and positive about the outcomes that can be derived from this process, and hopefully it's a tool that as it gets proven out, that may be something that is interest to some other dairymen. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Galen. But first, everybody get out your raffle ticket. This is the first door prize. And up for the raffle, we have, oh, this is exciting. Here, you can hold that. Don't mind.
Sure.
Surprising myself with our own prizes. So you get this awesome Whatcom Conservation District mini cooler for your water samples.
And manure.
Or whatever you might keep in a cooler this size. And with it, you get a gift certificate from Exact Scientific in Ferndale for one full soil panel. So one full soil test from Exact Scientific. Oh, and a water test. So it's gift certificates inside. Awesome. So one bacterial water test and a soil panel. That's a great prize. Okay, Galen's going to choose the first
What
number.
happens if I pull my own number?
Then you do.
Then you
not
win. Then you get the
Okay, the last three numbers are 804. With 804. Oh,
Nice.
Randy, come on up and
Thank you.
claim your prize. I'm gonna set it back
Great.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Galen. All right, Randy Honcoop, use it wisely. Thank you, Galen.
You bet.